pleased to be joined on 14 with 14 by Katie Marsden. Katie is a Yorkshire native, hailing from Hessel. Have I said that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Just outside Hull, and came through the Kingston development system there in Hull, playing under 16s until a move in 2013 to North America, playing in Canada and the US until 2021, when she returned to the UK and to the Kingston Diamonds, where she's remained since then, playing in the WNIHL Elite. Katie made her Team GB debut in 2013-14 under 18s and moved to the senior team in 2015-16 and has remained a firm fixture of the squad since then, securing 2 bronze, 1 silver and 1 gold medal in that time, and is currently, right now, in Riga, Latvia, competing in the IIHF World Championship Division 1B tournament, and has agreed to have a chat with me on her day off, no less. Katie, thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you, and how is Riga treating you so far?
Hi, no worries at all. Glad to chat. Riga's a different country, definitely. Interesting surroundings to be in, but the hockey's been great so far, and it's been a great 2 weeks with the girls.
Fantastic. So, Katie, the idea behind 14 with 14 is it's to get an idea of who players are both on and off the ice in 14 questions, give or take. So, with that in mind, I'll dive into the first question, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first one that I ask everyone is one of these terrible icebreaker questions. So what is your go-to coffee order?
Ooh, my go-to coffee order is quite simple. It's just flat white. Gets the job done. At least it's got a good, coffee to milk ratio, and yeah.
Nice.
Simple but good.
So now we've got the icebreaker out of the way. Let's have a look at hockey. What got you into hockey, Katie, and how did you get your start in the game?
So I actually started playing when I was around 4 years old, or I learned to skate when I was around 4. I went to a pantomime on ice with my grandparents, thought that skating looked really cool, so wanted to give it a go. Tried figure skating with my brother, but it was not for me, wearing the glittery dresses, and it definitely wasn't for him. He then started to play hockey because we saw the junior team playing after our figure skating lessons, and then I wanted to follow in his footsteps, so I started playing the same time he did. And I was actually talking about it today. I don't think I probably played a proper game of hockey until I was probably 8 or so. So I played at least 4 years just practicing before I actually got to play a game.
Oh, amazing. So you wear the number 14 for Team GB, and obviously being Door 14 hockey, we have a specific interest in the number 14. So does 14 hold any special significance for you, or is it just a number that you've been given?
So looking, I would say outright it's just a number I was given. But looking back potentially a bit deeper, it was the number that my brother wore for quite a long time, and it was his favourite number. So in a roundabout way, it does have a special meaning because it's his number, his favourite number. But for me personally, I was given it after changing numbers a few times for GB.
Okay, so just a happy coincidence now to be wearing 14 then.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Nice full circle moment.
Yeah, lovely. So when you're on a trip like the one that you're currently on with GB, do you have any movies or TV shows downloaded on your devices that help you switch off from the game in your downtime?
At the minute, we have many different ones. A crowd favourite is Jamae, Private School Girl. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but if you haven't, give it a watch. It's quite funny. But at the minute, my roommate and I have been watching The Dark Tourist. I think it's on Prime, not sure. But basically, this guy goes to countries he probably would never visit before, like North Korea. Turkmenistan was one of the last ones we watched. And he goes there and does touristy things in these countries you'd probably never want to go to. But it's quite interesting. Would definitely recommend.
Oh, wow. That's about as far away from the game of hockey as you could think, so I'm sure that takes your mind off it completely.
Definitely.
Looking back to your beginnings in the game and where you currently are then, what or who do you think has been the biggest influence on your hockey career so far?
I think probably my parents, just knowing how much they've sacrificed for me to be able to continue playing hockey and play at the highest level I possibly could. Having their support has just pushed me to be the best that I can and makes me want to try as hard as I can to make them proud and make all their sacrifices and time commitments worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I've done quite a few of these interviews now with different players, and parents and grandparents are traditionally the ones that come up as the sacrifice makers and to get players where they are currently.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's think about pre-game for a second. So you're in
Hmm.
the locker room
Yeah.
and you are in charge of the pre-game music.
Right.
So what are you putting on the speaker to get everyone hyped up pre-game?
Ooh, good question. I think it definitely depends on the team playing, like I'm playing for at that moment. I would say with the GB girls, Shania Twain is a big winner. She takes a lot of the aux time in our changing room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, you personally, Katie, you've had an interesting journey in hockey
Hmm.
so far. I was looking at your elite prospects page
Yeah.
when I was doing some prep for this interview today, and you've obviously spent time in the UK coming through development, like I said, but
Hmm.
then you spent some time in Ontario in Canada and then some time in Connecticut in the US.
Hmm.
Can you tell me how the opportunity to go to North America came about and what that experience was like?
Yeah. So I was playing in conference, which I don't know if they do anymore. If you've heard about it, which is an England English tournament where it was North, South, Scotland, and Midlands, basically in a regional tournament, basically. And there was a scout there from America or Canada. Sorry, he came over, and then at the time I was obviously playing with all boys in that tournament. There were a few girls dotted here and there, but he came from a school where they had all girls teams and all boys teams, and obviously would be playing for the girls team. So when he was interested or showed an interest in me going to the school, it was interesting because I'd never really just played on an all girls team before. I'd dabbled a bit with the development system with the girls, but it wasn't as strong as it even is now. If you want to develop in the UK, really, as a youngster, you have to play with the boys. It's just the way it is. So yeah, when he asked if I wanted to join, wanted to play with an all girls team, go to a boarding school, it was a big change, but it was very exciting. Got to play hockey, 7 days a week there. It was integrated into class time. We were supported academically, and it was a really really good experience. I'd definitely recommend if anyone was to ever go. The Ontario Hockey Academy was great to me, and I loved my experience there, which also helped me go to pursue my dreams of playing like college hockey or university hockey in America, where I went to Trinity College in Hartford in Connecticut, where I played there 3 years. Unfortunately, got cut a bit short due to COVID, but again, an amazing experience. And I think it really changed my perception of hockey because you see how big it is in these countries and how well supported their systems are, and being in a country where there's just so many hockey players and hockey's a part of everyday life for them is incredible. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all the experiences I had there.
And do you feel that's had a massive influence then on your hockey development, that chance to go abroad into that system, which is geared towards, well, more towards a split in the girls and boys game? You had the chance to develop your game specifically,
Yeah,
and then come back to GB and have the success that you've had since then.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great to see more and more girls going abroad now and getting the same experience or similar experiences that are only adding to our team's current, success and helping us grow as a country.
Amazing. Um, do you then have you've had a fairly storied career so far, but it's a short career. You're still young, but
Yeah.
do you have a highlight moment in your career so far?
I would have to say winning gold with the girls back in Jaca in Spain was the highlight. It was not a tough tournament, but we'd been in that division for a long time. It was our first tournament back together after COVID, and just being able to go 5-0 in that tournament and completely dominate them was amazing. And so winning gold and then moving into the division we are now has been the highlight for sure.
Amazing. And you mentioned there about sort of dominating in the division that you were in before you've moved up into the one that you're now, and that leads nicely on to my next question. You've had a few years now with the Team GB setup, both in the under section and now with the senior team, if you like. You've got that experience, and the national side, in all aspects, seems to be growing and going from strength to strength.
Mm.
What do you think's caused that bar raising sort of across the field, both in the men's and the women's game?
I don't. I would say I don't know. It just seems that more people have got into the sport, but at the same time, those people who have been there for years, like myself and the other veterans amongst the team that have, never given up on the dream, committed so much time that, we've always wanted to keep that program moving forward. And along the way, we've gained great coaches, great support staff that all help us achieve those goals. I think the men performing really well has done amazing things for ice hockey in the UK in general. I think they've really raised the awareness of the sport. They've gathered quite a good following, I would say, and I think some of that has affected us in a good way. I think we have more of a following and more of a respect than we ever had before. So I'd say probably their successes and then our successes as well, like, winning that promotion back in, I can't remember, 2021, I think it was, or maybe 22. Time's passing by too quickly. But winning that promotion and, holding our own in the division we are in now, I think we're just showing other nations and most importantly ourselves that we are capable and we belong here. And, that's just driving our progression further.
Absolutely. You're doing really well, leading on from my question into what I've got planned as my next question, and that's looking at where you are now in Riga. So, looking where you are, the team's doing well so far, sitting mid-table, I think in 4th at the minute after 3 games. You've had a regulation win, a regulation loss, and an OT loss. How is the mood in the room right now? You've got 2 big games coming up against 2 teams above you in the table. So how is the team with that pressure? There's obviously pressure to stay up in this division. So how are the girls coping with that pressure?
I think it is stressful, but it's an excitement more than anything, I think. On paper, we've had our 3 toughest games and we've managed to take 4 points out of those tough games. And we're in the same position as we are now, halfway through the tournament, that we were last year at the end of the tournament. So although it's stressful and at the minute, anyone could go up or go down, or Slovakia are most likely to go up if they continue their trajectory. But, anyone below is fighting for those 2nd and 3rd medals. And yeah, if anything, I would say exciting. The girls are really amped up to go over the next 2 days of 2 very big games. We have just finished a pre-scout about our game tomorrow. So, we know what to expect tomorrow and we're excited to go. And then the game on Saturday against Latvia, the host, we've heard that they bring in a big crowd. They're going to, have that home advantage, but we just can't wait to, show them what we've got and take their game to them.
Absolutely. I think pressure brings out the best in anyone, especially when you're potentially seen as the underdogs being the away team. So absolutely. I'm sure it'll be a fantastic couple of games coming up. Looking specifically at you then, looking at your pre-game, it's been said that hockey players are creatures of habit, and you can look online at all the weird and wonderful things that different players like to do or do before the game faces off. So what does pre-game look like for you? Have you got any rituals that you have to follow?
I'd say less have to, more that I enjoy to. One of them, singing karaoke with the girls, is the number one way to get me in the mood to play hockey. The bus trips are very loud, and I apologise to all the staff. They're horrendous to be on, I can imagine. And then, we just enjoy like a good little game of football, a bit of keepy-uppy, strong warm-up, and then into the game. I think I'm quite fortunate that I'm not too superstitious. Like, I don't put one side of my equipment on first or, whatever. Nothing like that really knocks me or gets my head, wobbly. So I'd say, just having fun with the girls is, the number one way to make me get my head in the game.
I've got to ask you, when you say it's karaoke, what's the go-to song for you?
So this year it is a bit strange, but it's "Fight for This Love" by Cheryl Cole, an oldie but goldie. But other contenders would be "That Don't Impress Me Much" by Shania Twain is up there. What else? Those are the 2 main ones this year.
Okay. So Katie, last couple of questions are ones that I ask everyone when we get to the end of the interview. The first one is, do you have an NHL team or now these days a PWHL team that you follow? And if you do, why them?
So I've never really followed the NHL, but since the creation of the PWHL, it's been very, very fun and interesting to watch. And if you've watched the game, you'll know it's fast, it's fun, it's furious. And at the minute, I would say that just following that whole league in general is exciting, and picking a favorite team is a bit difficult, especially with the non-branding and all that type of stuff. But I'd say the team I've enjoyed watching the most at the minute is Toronto. I just think they've been dominating the league so far, and it's been really amazing to see like how much they've grown the game in the past 6 or so months.
So I'll ask you a couple of follow-up questions on that, if that's okay. So on the podcast, we talked quite a lot about the PWHL when it was announced, and when you talked about the non-branding, whenever the uniforms were put out, the jerseys were put out. What's your thoughts on that? Because we were a little bit undecided, the fact that they stuck with just the team insert city here rather than going with a certain identity. So how do you feel about that? If you were a player on one of those teams, would you want a team identity to get behind, or is the city enough, do you think?
I think for their reasoning that they came out with, that if they were to add on that team branding, the league would be postponed, say, for another year. I think with that logic, just getting it out there, getting it started, showing what they can do is the most important, and they've done that. And I think they've created more excitement around the league kind of by not having it, because now people are interested in, helping them build that brand. And it started off so well, they need to do it right. So, if they would have rushed with a name that people might not have liked, who knows what it could have, flopped and been the reason for their downfall. So I think, although it's not conventional, I think coming straight out with the names has been a good thing for them, because, like I said, it's generated that buzz. They got out there, and now people are interested to see what they're going to come up with, and because they've had, a full season to decide what they could possibly be, I think it can only be a positive thing in the end. And if it's bad, they've had a whole year to decide, what their team name should be. So, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a good thing they got it out before.
I think you're right. There's definitely a want from people to watch that product when you look at the fact that they're selling out the likes of the XL Centre in Minnesota. So there's definitely a market for it. So another follow-up question. I don't know if you've had the chance to see it today. So linked again to the PWHL, they just today released their championship trophy, the Walter Cup, which is made and designed by Tiffany & Co. Have you had a chance to look at the trophy?
I did. We came up on all of our TikToks. So yeah, it's an amazing thing, and the fact it's made by Tiffany too, it just shows like massive brands are investing and interested in this, and only going to help propel it further.
Yeah, amazing. Katie, I've got one last question for you before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your night off on your day off. And it's to ask a simple question: if you could go back and give 10-year-old you a single piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say that, specifically hockey related, that off ice matters more than you can ever imagine, and will make you a better player if you stick to it and do hockey specific things.
Amazing. Katie, a massive thank you for giving up your time while away in Latvia to chat to us and give us an insight into both yourself on and off the ice. And good luck for the rest of the tournament with Team GB.
Thank you so much. No worries. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.